Okay, so let's start again. We expanded our offering as far as PissedConsumer is concerned. We started running YouTube channel. This is results of our YouTube channel. I believe it's from February of 2016. But in reality, it is where the line starts going up a little bit, somewhere around over here, right? When we started recording video interviews with customers. So we went far beyond taking a textual interview. We went into visual representation of how and when companies failed. Speaking in Russian, набрасыванием дерьма на вентилятор. You see those spikes? That's when the video goes viral for a period of time. And there are thousands of views, hundreds of thousands of views, and millions of minutes watched of that content being consumed by potential customers of a company. That's,
I have a question.
yes.
What were the results of these video interviews? Did you use them for promotion, for advertising, or what else? How these viral issues helped you to develop your business?
Help me or help the customer or help the
I don't
company?
know,
What are you looking? Did I gain a single dollar from this experience? Yeah, a couple of bucks on the advertisement.
That's why I'm asking, what for did you start this initiative?
I am in the publicity business. Publicity is the future revenue.
Okay.
That's the first thing. That's my profit associated with it. However, it's not the only goal that I pursue. I do want customers to be serviced right, and I do want companies to learn from their mistakes. If the mistake is grave, I want the company to address it. We have Alona over here, who is taking a big part in this video approach. It is very often the company has a heart attack when the video comes out. They know they cannot sue us. They know that we don't take stuff down. The company has a PR crisis. What I want, the message that I want to deliver to customer service over here is take care of your customers and make sure they don't get to the point when I interview them, because this will happen. It's the goal here, right? Is the target. I don't want a lot of those videos. I don't need a lot of them. That's my goal. I want to show people in customer service what PissedConsumer will do to them if they end up on my radar. I don't want to scare anyone. I actually telling them, hey, treat your customers right. And what are we gonna do next? We actually going to, I'm gonna skip this one. We're gonna do this one. It is one of videos that we've created. What you see here is tankless water heater, Navian tankless water heater. What you see here is the first page of Google. When someone searches for a product or service, the box in red is our video. How much revenue do you think the company is losing because of that video is up there?
I don't know, but I believe that
A lot.
Yeah, a big amount.
So what I want you to do is, what I have planned here is a discussion.
Mhm.
I want to talk about. I want to watch this video together, and I want to discuss what company could have done better.
Okay.
That's not the effect I was looking for. A link is not active.
Purchased this combination unit of heat and hot water from Navian. The unit was C240 or CH240. Concept is fantastic in as much as it will produce heat and hot water. It's endless hot water, so you don't have to worry about. Bad perspective is that the engineering and design is flawed, seriously flawed, to the point where the thing breaks down virtually every year, sometimes more than once per year, and breaks down with very serious consequences and very expensive repairs. In 2010, when my previous hot water heater went on the fritz, and plumber that I hired to service it suggested I buy a new unit, and he recommended this Navian unit, said that if I replaced both my hot water heater and my boiler with this hot water boiler, it would be much more efficient, last forever, blah, blah, blah. And so he talked me into buying it. Very expensive unit, so it's over $16,000, but it seemed like state of the art, and efficiency would be fantastic. And initially that was, it saved me considerable amount of my gas bill, well, for about 2 or 3 years, and then started having problems. And problems just mounted every year, virtually every year, sometimes more than once a year. The unit would go down for one reason or another. And despite the supposed 5-year warranty, after 2.5 years, I had to pay over $3,000 for an additional service. It was, I don't remember what that was for, a whole house regulator with air pressure absorption control, or whatever the heck that is. But that was supposedly necessary to make this unit work properly. Almost every year, around December, sometimes somewhere between November and January, the thing would die, and they'd come in and try to troubleshoot it, and sometimes they could fix it in a day. Sometimes it took several days, and a year ago it took over 2 weeks, which was absolutely unacceptable when you're freezing and have no hot water. And that's a problem. You can't override this thing with a boiler. You could, whether it's gas or electric, you could override those things and get hot water. But there was no way to get hot water or heat with this unit when it would fail. And they always had to, even though these people were specifically trained by Navian to work on these units, inevitably they would call them on the phone every time, and I'd hear them talking about, okay, I've got this error message or that error message, what do I do? And even the experts at Navian didn't know. They would suggest, okay, try replacing this part. And the parts typically had to be shipped out of California, and for some reason they weren't able to send them overnight. It always take 2 or 3 days to get here. They'd try a part and it wouldn't work. Oh, let's try another part. And when you're freezing, it's not an acceptable way to do business. But if you look at my records going back from when I bought this unit in November of 2010, I paid quite an exorbitant amount of money for repairs, even despite this warranty. Circulator pumps were going bad, water sensors were going bad. In my opinion, the largest flaw in the system is that the circuit board is not separated from some water valves. There are some copper tubing that runs through this big unit, and there are O-rings in this copper tubing, and the O-rings inevitably will fail, as O-rings do. And when they descale this thing, which had to be done every year, that's another expense you have to allot for this, another $200 a year for descaling, despite the fact I have soft water. They descale it, and when they descale it, apparently that sets aside some of the scaling into the tubing and causes the O-rings to fail. And when the O-rings fail, it causes water to spray all over the circuitry and the computer circuits, and causes them to fail. And that becomes an astronomically expensive repair when they do. I was fortunate that mine, the major, was just at the 5-year warranty point, so they were able to replace that major expense, that would have probably been another $4,000 for that, which was covered under warranty. But since then, the circulating pump, right after it went out of warranty, it failed, another $875. Just 2 days ago, it failed again, and I fired the previous plumbers that I had because they were, in my opinion, not as competent as one would hope for. So I hired a new guy. He's also a Navian trained guy, and he came in and replaced the thermistor and pressure sensor for another $316. I just paid that yesterday. So it's very unsatisfactory when you have a very state-of-the-art unit that is meant to be much more efficient, and it is more efficient when it works. The problem is that it's not designed very well, and it has a huge amount of service that needs to be taken care of. Even if it weren't breaking all the time, you still got to pay the $200 a year just to have it descaled, not to mention having to pay the regular maintenance, to have it cleaned and whatever else per year. It's another expense. So it's not economically feasible, nor is it acceptable to be without heat virtually every year for a period of time. You can pretty much guarantee that you're going to be without heat and hot water for at least a few days, if not a few weeks, every heating season. That's basically all I have to say about it. I think it was just very poorly designed. I think the concept is fantastic. I think the design and engineering is terrible. I'm hoping, maybe it's beyond reasonable hope, that they have redesigned their current units so that it won't be so susceptible to breakdowns. And if they would be willing to replace mine with a current model and or give me some sort of a warranty that is ironclad and doesn't have any loopholes in it like the current warranty does, so I won't have to pay for repairs if they do break down, I would be willing to reconsider my my opinion of them.
So, what are your thoughts on what you just saw?
So, Mike, maybe it's a bit beyond this topic. I mean, the question of warranty, it's always, when you get it, you always know that most likely it won't cover the issues you are about to experience. Well, it's what I hear from those that decide to pursue and to get the service from the warranty. But the question to you, and I know that my clients, one in particular that had issues with PissedConsumer, yeah, you probably know who I'm talking about. He is quite particular about this understanding of the reviews and.
Let me, Lynn, I apologize for interrupting.
Yeah.
I want to discuss this case. I want to discuss this particular case,
Okay.
maybe as a company. The consumer relate their problem. Where's the problem? Is the problem with the organization? Is the problem with the consumer? What can be done to address the issue?
They have, as far as I understand, they have good products, but they have not really good service. And probably they don't tell all the truth about the service of their product. Probably, but we don't know. Probably this particular client was not really attentive, and probably maybe he just wanted to save money on gas, as he said, and he didn't. As a lot of clients do, they don't want to know right now about the service issues, but they pay attention fast result. They pay attention to how many money they can save if they use this product. And we don't know the context here, probably.
The context is the following. The customer paid, I believe, around $12,000 to have this unit installed in his house. It is being advertised as one of the premium water tankless water heaters. It is top of the line. It's Louis Vuitton in water heaters. Right? And he's talking about his experience.
Yes.
So my question is, what shall the company react? How shall they react? And could they have prevented the issue? Because now they have a problem.
Yes, they should react. After the video, they should react.
Well, they should have reacted before, ideally. I mean, the service, if you sell the premium products, I believe the price is not only for the product, but for the lifetime or significant percentage of the lifetime of use. So especially if you buy from a well-known established brand, if you buy the top of the line from that brand, you tend to believe that the cost, the name is there not just for any strange reason. It's for the quality, it's for the service. That's what this client probably thought when investing in the product. And well, apart from not serving after the purchase, right? I think that the problem could have been in over advertising. When you promise something you cannot deliver at all or 100%.
Do you want to buy this product?
No. Particularly, I don't know right now. The problem is in over advertising, in a bad quality, bad service. I don't know why they. We all don't know why they.
Or it could be the situation of shit happens.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And you know what I started with, and this is something that can be applied to this case too. Right now, people are used to seeing a bunch of negative reviews online, and if it was like a few years ago, I believe this could have more of a negative impact than right now. Because from my own personal experience, negative reviews, if they are not in a crazy, overwhelming amount, they do not affect me as much as before.
I think you have a client fatigue. You happen to have a client that has those type of issues. I know what you're talking about. You have I would correct your perception.
Not really. It happened before I met that client.
Any other feedback on this before I share my experience?
They should. They have. For sure. They have bad quality of the product. First, was
Or bad design?
bad design. Okay. And bad service while they change that device parts and the time of delivery and so on. So bad design, bad product, and bad service. And why? I don't know.
And they're trying to build a premium brand, and that's what's important. I want to take you back to another example. I don't have a slide for it, but I want to take you back to the early 80s of the last century. A small Japanese car company. They were very small at that time. They were, the name of the company is Toyota. They decided to build luxury cars to go against Mercedes, BMW. They decided to build Lexus. And they decided to enter the premium market very, very strongly, and they wanted to do it in United States. They shipped out, first year, they built and they shipped out 100,000 cars. It is a small amount of cars for the car manufacturer. Toyota itself was very little known at that time. It was in U.S. market maybe for 10 years before attempting to build a luxury brand. So after shipping 100,000 cars, they realized that there is an issue with their cars because they were listening to the customers. I don't remember exact details, but it is very well published online. What transpired? There was an issue that needed to be fixed. The fix would take about 4 hours. And they knew that they were building a premium brand in the United States, and they didn't want customers to fail. Lexus, Toyota didn't think very long. They took the most qualified engineers in Japan that they had in their car factory. They put them on the airplanes for the period of 4 months. Those people went to the houses of owners. They didn't want to put in trouble those owners of the cars, of actually taking the car to the dealership. Those engineers flew in all over the United States. They would pick up the cars themselves, Japanese engineers, take them back to the dealerships, fix the problem, wash the cars, put perfumes inside the cars, bring the cars back at the times it was convenient to the clients to return the cars. Lexus sales next year shoot up almost 10 times because of the example of the absolutely premium service and the care that they've put into the product. It costs them a lot of money in the long run, in the beginning, to actually stop the production of the cars in Japan because they were shipping engineers over. It's like sending an army of people overseas to deal with the problem. And that's what they've done. And that was in the first year of building a brand. And they never expected that that would happen. But Toyota decided to do it. Shit happens in every company. The question is how you deal with it, how you close the issue. In this particular situation, the guy didn't come to PissedConsumer. We know the story behind this. The guy has been talking to the company for a very, very long time, trying to get through to them about this particular situation. The message never bubbled up to the right people. And that's a common theme that we see with this type of issues. And that's what PissedConsumer wants to fix. We want a right message. What I want to say here is deliver the customer support must deliver the right message. The processes must exist in customer support to deliver the message to the right department to be addressed and properly addressed.
From my point of view, the problem with such kind of companies who build premium brands is they should have a very exact value proposition, very very exact, and it should include what is their product and what is their service, how they would maintain relationships, maintain the products, work with this kind of what they can promise and what they cannot promise. They should be honest.
Absolutely.
First.
Yeah.
And the second one, second point here is that premium level companies, they should have very good built up business processes.
Mhm.
And a lot of companies which starts, a lot of startups, let's say that, they don't, they work for a long time as they would work with small, in small, in
Growth pains.
in the very beginning of their history. And they cannot build the business processes inside their company. And
Hold that thought, because we're going to watch the next video and we're going to discuss it on what you're saying. Anyone else wants to talk about Navian? This is another video.
Hello, my name is Rachel. My sleep number is 78. 78 days I spent on a sleep number bed. From the day it was delivered, the air chamber was defective and sleep number wouldn't stand behind them. They made me wait 2 weeks and then they changed it to 30 days. When we started complaining, they finally sent a Band-Aid out to fix it in the form of some foam. When the serviceman finally came out, he found a wet spot and said that there had been a leaking air chamber, which would justify how I felt like I was bottomed out, like sleeping in a trench every day from day one. The company wouldn't stand behind it. The store manager and the sales person after that, their whole attitudes towards us changed. When we wanted to return the bed, you're forced to pay a $300 restocking fee on the base, even though the bed itself was defective. They literally came to the house and picked it up and threw it in the back of their truck. They weren't going to restock it anywhere. They're just charging you. I had a man named Brian Barker call me he said Sleep Number CEO told me that they, in a sense, didn't stand behind their product because I changed my mind about it, even though it was defective from day one.
Let me stop for a second.
We were out just one day.
Navian, of course, you didn't know the previous brand that we are talking about. I don't know if you know what Sleep Number is. Sleep Number is a very, very big and known brand in United States, right? I just want to clarify, right? It's very popularized. It's not a premium segment in beds, but their differentiator is its air bed. So it is inflatable mattress, but it is an extremely expensive inflatable mattress that supposedly feels just right for you. Meaning you can adjust the level to which it's inflated and it holds its air. Just keep in mind, it is a very popular brand. And there are 20,000 views on this particular. We'll go to the comments below to see what people are saying about it. So let's watch it, but just keep in mind, it's a very popular brand.
Just one day and decided to stop in the store. We're from Springfield, Missouri. So we went in the store and they did their whole presentation and all that stuff. And so, I mean, we ultimately obviously purchased one. It was the P5 model. We also purchased the adjustable base, head and foot thing, not massage or any of that. But so, you know, signed the papers, went home, scheduled a delivery date. Everything was going well at that point. I was out of town when they delivered it, but they delivered it on time, showed up, set it up, everything. So Rachel sleeps on it that night, and of course I'm out of town, so I'm anxious to see what she thought. So I text her the next morning, how's it going? She was just kind of like, well, just kind of okay, you know. Well, they had already told us that, you know, we're going to have to adjust to it and all this type of thing, blah, blah, blah. So we just kind of blew it. I just kind of blew it off. But So I finally come home and she'd been sleeping on a few days and she still wasn't liking it. I slept on. I thought it was horrible from day one. She did too. You know.
By the time morning got there, my side had bottomed out like sleeping in a trench. It was like in a hammock every day. And it was delivered on the 28th, and by November 1st, I was in there asking about it. And that's when they said you had to give it 2 weeks. So I live 2 miles from there. I laid down on theirs, and then I went home and tried to recreate that at home, and I couldn't do it. At 2 weeks, they said they changed and said you had to have the bed for 30 days before you could make any kind of an assumption about whether or not you liked it. And I was in there several times, at least once a week, trying to recreate how it felt in the store to the one that I had at home. So then at 30 days, I had him call customer service because the local store wouldn't do anything to help us. It slept very hot. My side, like I said, bellowed out like I was in a hammock. And that's how I described it to them at the store. And all I got was wait 2 weeks. Then I had to wait until 30 days.
So I called customer service, whatever they call themselves, and they said, described what it was. I described it as like sleeping on a glorified air mattress, like you would camp on, So that's how I described it kind of to the guy on the phone. He says, oh, so you probably needed a little more plush. I go, yeah, I guess, because it was hard and it was just uncomfortable. Anyways, so they ordered free of charge, but they ordered, they called it a mattress topper, and I don't remember what the foam piece that went underneath it. I don't remember what they called it, but anyways, okay, fine. So
it would be there in a matter of days.
Yeah, in a few days it'd be here and then we would schedule for someone to come put it in. So I call them back up, and oh well, it's been back ordered. Okay, it's been back ordered because of the floods in Texas. I'm like, wow, that's pretty interesting, And I was thinking to myself, the floods were like in August, and this is November. So, anyways, so she said, well, they're back ordered till the end of sometime the end of December. I don't remember the exact date. She said, well, you got to be kidding me, We're 30 days from the time we called, 60 days from the time, now 30 days, to get this thing fixed, Well, they ended up coming about the middle of December. Okay. So we call and schedule their technicians to come out and fix it. And originally it was on December 26th. They were to come.
That's the only verbal one they
fix
made.
it. Then they send an email saying it's going to be the 27th. And then a few seconds later, the 30th, which was the 27th was the original one, right?
That's the first one that came in.
Yeah, that's the one we could do. But anyways, so I said 27th comes, and we hear they're supposed to send you a text message telling you times and all that type of thing whenever.
You meant the 26th.
Or the 26th, whatever day it was. But anyways, telling you a time frame when they're going to be there. Well, it comes and goes, and we never hear anything. So I call them. They say, well, it's not scheduled to the 30th. Wait a minute. It was scheduled for the 26th. Well, we can't do it the 26th. It's going to be due to the 30th. I said, well, no one's going to be here for the 30th. We can't do it on the 30th. So then it turns out now it's January 6th that they can come out.
When we called to try and get something in between there, because these pieces sat at our house for a long time, I was told on 2 separate occasions that I couldn't complain about the bed not being fixed unless I was willing to fix it myself. Twice. By 2 different customer service people, they said, you can't complain about how long it's taken. You can't complain about anything unless you're willing to fix the bed yourself. I said, well, you promised me verbally on the phone the 26th, and now I have to wait until the 6th. And I don't think that I should have to fix a $4,000 bed myself.
The technicians show up.
That's where we're going to stop. What are the issues that the customers are raising inside the organization? Can we see the issues from what you saw?
Yeah, like customer support not responsible for their initial promises. No.
No,
Probably maybe they take the issue. Probably they even forward it somewhere, but it looks like this message didn't come to the people who are responsible for fixing the problem.
there is a number of issues that can be traced from this short interview. Now, it's $4,000 piece of cloth that contains air inside. Customer service shall be superior for the product. This mattress, normal mattress costs about $2,000. They are more expensive than normal spring mattress of good quality. Good quality mattress would cost you $2,000. Orthopedic, everything is great. This guy's cost 2 times more. From this video we can see customer service doesn't do follow-ups. It is the customer that was calling them back trying to figure out where his part is. So if you've taken the service product, if you've taken an issue, make sure you own up to that issue, and that's a lesson to customer service. At the end you will understand of this video that it is actually that the product is defective. The whole point here, they sold them actual defective product. They made the client, due to their processes and procedures within the organization, sleep number bed, made the client sleep on a broken bed for 30 days until they can start complaining. She ended up, this poor lady, slept on this bed for 78 days. Because first 30 days she slept because she had to sleep on it, and the other 48 days on top of it was the end result because customer service was trying to make an appointment, send the parts, and send the fixer. And the customer has to... So at the end of the 78 days, they came and took it. But it took customer 78 days to sleep on a bad bed. When the bed is delivered and it's customer in United States, the company that brings in the new bed takes out the old one. We can clearly see miscommunications in customer service, wrong templating. The templates that we used for customer service certainly did not fit this customer. No one made an assumption at the company that the bed is broken, actually broken, truthfully broken. Customer service didn't know product enough. Because all it would take, again, further in the video, you would see, I just don't want to take your time, is you take off one cover and you see wet spot. When you see a wet spot is a result of leaking chamber. That's a clear result of a broken product that was delivered originally in a broken fashion. So that's and these people came to PissedConsumer because of the issues that they had with sleep number over a long period of time. Could customer service actually have fixed it earlier on?
Yeah, they could. Do you think it's the procedures within the company that prevented the customer service from, going outside of what they're supposed to say? Because I know for a fact that in some companies they do not allow people to go outside the script. They do not allow extra questions, nothing. They just, this quality assurance for customer support that punishes people if they do. So
Absolutely, and that's very often procedurally that's the right approach. But the sleep number is not equipped to actually handle the issues. They haven't foresaw the fact that someone like this can happen. Their customer service procedures are not adequate to deal with these types of problems. Any other thoughts about sleep number? So let's move on to the summary section. This is another video that we could see. Now, anyone who is willing can type in YouTube space PissedConsumer in Google, and you'll find plenty of the situation. This is another example. I'm not going to show the entire video, but in this particular case, a transmission purchase. For this presentation, I selected expensive items that we are talking about, right? Those are not the most expensive. The most expensive item was Porsche, I believe.
No, Lena.
Oh, Lennar house. Yes, we have Lennar video. But anyways, the lessons that could be learned from these videos are parent customer support organization as part of the department needs to be watchful for the things that happened. For the negatively impacted consumers. You can learn from what they are saying to address the issues going forward. And they certainly shall not get to the level of PissedConsumer. Again, PissedConsumer is the next level after the customer service. So, tips and tricks for customer service. When you talk to again, this is based for Eastern Ukraine. If a customer and the customer service come from different cultures, a customer support rep must understand the differences, cultural, language differences. When communicating with a client in a written form, do not translate your mood onto writers on email or chat. So when communicating in English, if you are in a good mood, it does not mean that your client is in a good mood. And in the reverse. Client may be in a good mood, you're in a bad mood. Do not translate your mood into a piece of written content. It's very important. It is more common with written communications when person does not see what's written, does not understand and misinterprets it. When talking to a client, if it is an important client, but recommendation actually to do it for every client that you have. If it is your job to speak to clients, attach a mirror to your monitor and look at the mirror while talking to the customer to make sure you smile while you speak. It can be heard in your voice, your mood at that particular time. This trick does work and it does serve its purpose. If you're talking to important client, well, every client is important. If you can make it happen for every call, please do that. But I don't think your customer support department will like it. But it actually makes sense. For the sales calls, it certainly works. Stand up during the conversation and talk with a full, well, I'm giving this presentation while sitting, I should be standing up. Of course, we all understood that, but it is important to stand up during important calls. It translates through the phone. I stand up on sales and customer service calls.
Yeah, me too, and I do it even
Without realizing it.
Yes, I don't realize it, but I walk, I just, because it's energy.
Yes, and it translates. Customer service is a key defense and instrument for any company to make or break the brand. Each customer service that sits on the phone, they of course represent themselves, but they also represent the brand. Uh, it is that conversation that may satisfy the customer or push the customer towards PissedConsumer. If you want to make me richer, please continue giving bad service. The role of customer service rep goes beyond servicing the client. It is actually translating the needs of the customers up the chain to the right departments, making the right summarization of the data that they received from customers. Because by listening to the customers, we actually understand what they want and we can change, modify the product accordingly. So for the customer support rep, it is important to have clear procedures in the large organizations to work with quality assurance department. Perhaps this issue with the slip number could have been tested and realized in the factory and not get the customer into this mess. Research and development, well, it would be probably good for Navian in research and development department to realize the situation by figuring out the calls their engineers had to deal with to realize the design flaw and address it for the whole. Support templates. Well, templates are great, and customer support shall continue using templated approach to 95% of the issues. But there is those 5% that fall outside of normal servicing. At every business, you will have a situation where support template just doesn't work. It is realizing it efficiently, quickly, and sending it to the right second level support, to the higher level support that is able to customize the answer for the complainer. It is sometimes important to return money to the client to save face. In this or that situation, you must have appropriate procedures in the organization that would allow you to efficiently deal with the issues that are coming in. So that's where I see role of customer support. It's not just have a conversation, hang up. Hey, I just talked to the customer, I'm done, right? There are organizations that actually monitor large customer support organization would monitor the number of minutes per call. If you have such KPI inside of your organization, how does that affect communication? Is the customer service in the rush to be done with that call because the number of calls is important? How does it affect quality of that call? Because you cannot check every single call. There are quality assurance and large customer support organizations. There is always a manager or quality assurance department that sits on top of the customer support to actually validate the quality of that conversation. It is changing business processes in such a way that customer will not suffer while you're reducing the length of the calls that would take place. So what I want to end up with is customer service is not just a little gear in a large organization. It is actually a face of the organization that builds the trust for the brand, for the company, and the services it provides. So with this, I would like to wrap it up. I'm open to your questions.
Just some thoughts.
Yeah.
We are talking about two parts, about front end and back end, and customer service could be divided into these two parts. and there are some people who are sitting with phone, for example, yes, and accepting and transferring requests, and they communicate with dissatisfied clients. It's first part. And second part is backend. It's how the issues are addressed within the organization. In my experience, my last employment was with the product company with support department, and this support department was divided from production, and that was the most destructive point, because there were scripts, there were tasks, and the main task of support was to calm client, just to calm them.
To quiet them down.
Yes, to quiet them down. In production part, where this issue should be analyzed and addressed to particular part of business process, and to find out where is the problem, where is the root of the problem. And there were no person at this production part who was responsible for taking issues. And that was one problem. Another problem was that the process was not defined. The process of analysis, the process of understanding at which part of the production line there was at which point of the value chain the problem has their roots. So from my point of view, the issue lies in the area of business process in this organization, and all the skills of people who are on the front end, they are easier addressed than the issues that are on the back end.
What do you mean?
It's for the front end, it's important to have good English, which
Of
you
course,
mentioned.
yes,
Yes.
of course.
The mirror on the monitor, the standing up when you're talking, and so on. It's these skills and these tips, there are they're easier to achieve than the organization of this value chain and analysis of the issue.
Yeah.
And the company that announce that they provide premium services, they should pay attention first of all to the value chain.
Of course, yes, and that's part of the message.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to deliver. That customer service shall not be a bunch of guys and girls sitting in a separate room and just coming down the clients. Because if that's the organization people will have, PissedConsumer will have a job.
Yes. And can I draw the value?
Sure.
For me, the best model that represents the place of customer service in the organization is the business model canvas.
Business model of who?
It's model, business model canvas.
Canvas, okay.
It's called. I like this thing. It said that in the middle is there is value proposition, and the end the end point is customer. Different segments of customer, and for each segment the company has its value proposition, and and this part of this model is responsible for revenue,
Mm-hmm.
for income. And there are two parts of delivering value proposition to customer.
Mm-hmm.
And the clear one that everyone uses and everyone understands, it's sales channels.
Mm-hmm.
And the another one is most undervalued,
Undervalued.
undervalued. Yes, it's actually it is called in this model relationships.
Mm-hmm. But in reality, it's customer
It's customer service. Yes, and most of the companies use only this channel,
Mm-hmm.
and not all pay attention to this one.
Mm-hmm.
And in this part of this model, there is activities. Actually, it's processes that enables production, sales, and relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And according to this model, in the company providing the service should pay attention to at least three things: production, sales, and feedback and customer service. And the activities, processes, business processes should be равномерно.
Equally.
Equally. Equally, the efforts should be equally distributed between production, sales, and
Relation.
customer.
Mm-hmm.
And then company should should understand which resources they need to enable these activities and which partners.
Understood.
Yes, and this is cost. So it's like a model of the company that I really like, and to which I usually pay attention.
I got you.
Yes, and it shows. Probably you can use it further for your presentation like
Mhm.
this. That customer service, it's a part of value propositions.
Yes, absolutely, and that
yes, and
the idea behind this presentation is, hey, customer service is not just a small gear within the organization. Customer service information shall be summarized, collected, and propagated throughout the organization so that the organization can learn.
Mhm.
And again, it is the face of the organization.
And further, it depends on how the company market this value.
Uh-huh.
It's if it's a premium segment, so all these parts should satisfy premium requirements. If it's I don't know, AliExpress, okay, you can wait for months. For example, it's okay. If do you know this example with Amazon and AliExpress?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So depends on where you put your value proposition.
Another actual tip that I did not put in originally, just putting it in now for the presentation. There are some companies that have a motto for the customer service department. It's called, "Would you do it to your mother?" If you wouldn't do it to your mother, don't give any response to the customer. This response is not satisfactory. If you wouldn't do it to your loved one, don't do it. There are companies that act in the following way. It would be a company that really care for their customers. This is a type of company that would have superior customer service. It's There are large public companies that do it. You may have heard of the company called Zappos.
Yeah.
It is one of the companies that use "Would you do it to your mother?" approach.
Yeah, they did.
So, and you get a superior customer service. Zappos is a pretty young company. What is it, 4 or 5 years old?
Yeah.
And growing quite fast and beating Amazon in the process. So, this is pretty much the entire presentation. Any other questions for me?
Looks like no.
And I really wonder what is the business model of pissed consumers. Yeah, I don't
This is not part of this presentation.
I don't ask.
You just wonder.
Because really, my approach is I think all the time I think where is the money. So for example, I see this and yes, my natural.
I understand. Хорошо. Спасибо.